Hey everyone, I'm Annie Dickerson, and on behalf of the entire Good Egg Investments team, I wanted to welcome you to this episode of the Life and Money Show, the show where we talk about everything from investing to financial freedom to parenting, traveling, creating a life by design, and everything in between. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Susan Elliott. Susan, how are you today?
I'm doing really good today. I really appreciate our guest, Cara, we had on today because she took us down memory lane a little bit. And sometimes it's nice to go back and appreciate like where we've come from in this journey of living a life by design and the progress we've made, and really see that we are making progress in lots of different areas of our lives. So I'm feeling like really proud of myself for where I'm at today. I'm really excited about the changes that my life just naturally unfolds, naturally makes, and where I'm going. But that's taken a lot of intention as we reflect upon with Cara today, and talking about just navigating burnout. I think that was like a keystone feature of my previous, where I was and how I've gotten to where I am today.
And so that's a big part of what we talk about today with Cara. But first, for our listeners, if you're in a place where you are stuck, you're feeling burnt out, and you want to figure out how to create some passive income in your life so that you can take the pressure off of your job as your sole source of income and have additional streams of income, real estate can be a really great way to do it. Now, you can do it through investing in rental properties, but that often takes a little bit more time and effort. And so that's why a lot of people love passive investing through real estate syndications, which are group investments. And that's what we specialize in. So if you're curious or you're interested, a great place to start is our Start Here page. So you can go to goodegginvestments.com/start and learn all about passive investing and whether it's right for you, whether you're burnt out and this might be a path for you to get out of that, or you're just curious about how to build wealth for your family. So goodegginvestments.com/start. All right, with that, let's go ahead and dive into our conversation with Cara Houser. She's the author of Burned Out to Lit Up. Here's Cara. Cara, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. It's so lovely to be here, Annie and Susan.
Awesome. We're thrilled to have you here, and we can't wait to share your story with the listeners. We were just talking before we started recording about how juicy it is and so much good things that came out of it, but also some really tough things that you went through. And so I have here right next to me your amazing book. I hope it can show up on screen, Burned Out to Lit Up. And it's an amazing read, a quick read, which is great. You cut out all the fluff. But before we dive into the book and some of the wisdom that you share with your clients now, tell us a little bit about how you got to that point of burnout in your own life. What were you doing before, and kind of how did you know that you were burnt out, if you did? And then what happened after that?
Yes, thank you. I think my story is like so many other people's story, where it's just, you're doing all the things you think you're supposed to be doing. You're working hard, you're checking all the boxes, you're making as much money as you think you need to, take care of your family and yourself and your community. And, you're a good person and as best as you can be most of the time. And in my case, and like a lot of people's case, you get so caught up in doing all of this stuff and, meeting all of these external expectations that as your plate gets more and more and more full, you just kind of keep you just think, oh, I can be a little more efficient. I could just do that one more thing. And then what happens is we systematically, step by step, remove all the things from our schedules that actually nourish us and maintain our resilience and sanity and health and well-being. And so for me, it was like, oh, well, I don't need to go on those morning runs, or, I could just eat this quick snack instead of something useful. I could sleep less. I don't need to see my friends. Bit by bit, you just think you push your own needs, and they're not just fun things. They're not extras. They're actually requirements for thriving and for surviving first and then thriving. And you just kind of push them lower and lower until they're so far down the list, you actually forget they exist and you never do them. And because of that, your resilience goes to nothing, because the way that we show up whole and well in the world is that we actually take care of ourselves and are full, happy, multidimensional humans. And we forget that we need to do that. And so, you know, as far as how I knew I was burned out, I didn't. I thought, oh, well, this is how it is. You know, everyone's running around busy and crazy. And, you know, I guess that's just life. And just sort of resign myself to it. And
especially here in the Bay Area, it seems like everybody's crazy busy all the time. And it's always just go, go, go. It's such the culture. Yeah.
It's the culture, and it's common and it's boring and it's everything else, but it's just what it is. And I was doing the grind as a real estate development person, as a housing developer in the Bay Area. And it's a very grindy culture. And I did that for 15 years, you know, doing all the things I thought I was supposed to be doing. And then an emergency happened. And that's really how, what sort of really sort of smacked me to attention, so that I had to actually step back for a second, look back in at myself and see just how wildly unsustainable it was. I mean, there had been signs along the way, like me snapping at people at work and just acting like not right. But, you know, we sort of just bat those away and think, what are my other choices? This is just how it is. This is how people live. And then the emergency happened, and it forced me to make a change, like is true for, I think, most of us.
Yeah, I think Oprah talks about whispers, right? So you have these whispers of those signs that you were talking about that show up in your life. And if you pay attention to the whispers, you don't have to get smacked upside the head with the brick wall. But if you ignore the whispers, eventually they get bigger and louder. And in your case, and, you know, many of us have experienced, you know, some emergency, something that we didn't expect to happen that smacked us upside the head and made us pay attention. And so I want to skip forward. We'll dive into the details, but, you know, I want to mention that when you and I last met in person, it was at these beautiful gardens near where we both live. And we got to take a lovely walk in the middle of the day, which is so different from what you're describing.
Luxurious.
Like the culture.
To allow that to happen in your life, to give permission to, whoa, that's
right. So I want you to share with us that a little bit about that journey. So this emergency happened. It forced you to pay attention. And then what happened next? How did you get from that point where you were stuck in this grind, you didn't see a way out, and now all the way to the other side where you're like, you know what? I need to take a walk. I deserve to take a walk in the middle of the day. I put myself first. How did you start to create that space for you in your life?
You know, it's the way in is gradual and the way out is gradual too. And I started by actually fighting with myself. Like, do I deserve this? Do I even have it that bad? What the hell is my problem? Like, why am I so complaining? And, you know, like not even giving myself the grace to see that, like, hello, woman, this isn't working. Right. And you're not a fun person to be around is what I also thought to myself. Like when we get to these places, we don't realize what I've come to learn now, which is that taking care of yourself is the greatest generosity you can give to the world. And the reason for that is that we do not show up well when we are not whole and healthy, but we do when we are. And it has to start there. Like, why on earth do we think we can give anyone else the gifts of love, listening, caring, generosity, grace, if we can't even give those to ourselves? We don't even know how to do it. So I had to start there, and also not just deal with my own inner villain, but frankly, the villains out there in the world. Not that anyone's a bad person, but that everyone's coming from their own fear and lack and whatever else is going on in their lives, right? We're all just people. And people look at you and you're about to make a big change and they say, oh, well, you'll never get your career back. You can't have a career gap. You know, you'll probably never get a job again.
It's the death sentence.
No, and it's like, it's one of the things that keeps our wings clipped tight. And one of the reasons why we don't why we actually think there are no other options. But like I said, I was such a mess physically, emotionally, spiritually, that I just had to take this break. It was literally no longer an option. And when you get down to that point, you're actually, it becomes much easier to put other people's thoughts in your nice mental trash can, which I'm showing you guys by making my arms into a trash can and throwing it. You just throw it out because it's not for you. You need to chart your own course. So
I like that. I need one of those trash cans to take everybody else's
sometimes
stuff.
you just have to ask yourself, is this input useful to my life? Is there truth to it? And if there isn't, you have to toss it. Otherwise, we spend our lives again trying to kind of please and hustle for everyone else's approval, which is kind of not the point of our existence. So again, I knew I had to take this break, but I didn't know quite what I needed to do. And then I spent the next 2 years really just figuring it out, consuming as much information, practicing, experimenting, just doing what the next right thing felt to do. And just getting much more, getting reacquainted with myself, what I thought, what I wanted, what I needed, all those things that I had completely chopped off because I didn't have time, I thought. So it was just a very gradual process. I mean, one of the first things I did, and the book is in 3 sections. The first section is called Making Space. We make space in our homes, in our physical space, in our mind. We set boundaries in our schedules, and then we rebuild with things that actually serve us: habits, practices, vision, mindset, schedule stuff. And then we sustain as the final section, which is about resilience and joy and how those help us sustain our gains so that we don't just make this a short-term shift, but we actually make a lifelong shift into self-possession, where now we make choices that actually are healthy for us going forward. But that's what I first started to do. I did the Marie Kondo to my house. That lady's a genius. I mean, you can't do everything she says to do because no one has time to fold their socks like that. But
I was going to use the sock example. You just said it. I was like, but this is so quick. I can't find my socks when I roll them that way, Marie.
Yeah.
I'm just
you just take it.
Personal liberty here and do my socks my own way. But I agree with that. It, like, the creating space physically around you to say that this is like how I want to live, and then starting to do that mentally, creating mental space. Like, how do I want to feel? What do I want to do? It's like easy probably to attack the physical space first, because it's there. It's right in front of you. Someone can tell you yes or no, what to do. But to dive into the mental space, you got to open up to that.
It's a good first step, though, the physical space. And this is part of what, like, all the specifics of some of what Marie Kondo says. I'm like, girl, I'm never going to have drawers that look like that. But the mental part is what I thought was so brilliant about her work, is that she is right. If you go through and you just go through this process of creating physical space, it does crack open space in your brain. She's right about that. It actually is a really important first step, because then you start finding yourself open to possibilities and ideas and thoughts that you never were going to access before, because you were in a state of frenzy, zombie, lack, insanity. And so now you're actually taking time, you're taking space. I started doing my morning walks again. I just started to very bit by bit, chopping out the stuff that was driving me nuts, saying no to things, building in things that actually were helpful, and kind of rebuilding my foundation almost from scratch again.
How do I know if I'm burned out, and does it matter? And, how do I start to find my way out? What would you say to them? What are some of the things that you guide your clients on to help navigate some of these challenges?
Love that. The feeling is of overarching misalignment. You just are not feeling like what you're doing is what you need to / want to be doing. If you really took 5 minutes to look at your day and how you spend your time, how it's allocated, you would see that the things that you list as important to you are not the things you're spending time on. That's one. Clients have described to me feelings of flat, colorless, a fuse that's about to explode, a system completely overpowered. One woman had like this kind of almost like a mini stroke. She was talking to her friend and she just couldn't talk anymore. And her friend was like, hello? You need to take a break. Something is scary. Not right. So she, health issues.
Yeah.
Anxiety. Anxiety can be caused by a lot of things, but it's usually, there's something trying to communicate with us that we're not doing what we want to be doing. For me, headaches, I get migraines. And when they start spooling up, I'm like, uh-oh, what am I not paying attention? Something is not getting attention. That's my body going.
Yep.
So we all have kind of different things that if you sat, even gave yourself 5 minutes to say, how do I feel in my body? Also, do I know if someone asks me, what do I like to do for fun or relaxation? And I don't have an answer, which for a while I didn't. I thought that was a stupid question that people like me had no time for. I was like, sleep. I don't know. I don't have time. I don't have time to even have this interaction with
or you have stock responses like, I don't know, be with my family. Like, well, what do you do with your family? And like, are you an enjoyable person to be with as a family member?
I sit there catatonically on the couch.
Right.
I binge watch shows, which by the way, can be super cool, but whatever. Like there's a whole bunch of things. That you just dread waking up, that you wake up with your stomach in knots, and that you've completely lost control of your day. You wake up and the first thing you do is you look at your phone and you think, oh my God, my emails are horrible. The world's going to hell. You become very reactive. And you become very much like, oh, I just have to bat away what goes on all day instead of waking up and saying, today, I will breathe. I will think of something I'm grateful for. I will go on my walk. I will eat something decent. And then after I've decided how I'm going to do this day, I'm going to get into it. And yes, I can't control everything about it, but I can control coming into the day with a sense of self-possession, a sense of self-directedness, a sense of agency. And instead of being so reactive, a sense of being proactive. Like, okay, this is the things I'm going to try and go after today. And then I'm going to be open to whatever else comes. And I'm going to be able to be solid enough and centered enough that when things do happen that I do not like, I'm going to be able to manage those a little bit better,